Hey everybody, it's Deb Kelt with Heart of Texas Writing Project, and we're here today with another really special guest. This is my dear friend, Carmela Valdez. She teaches first grade writing at Perez Elementary in beautiful South Austin. You want to say hi, Carmela?
Hi everybody.
She's also a very dedicated member of Heart of Texas Writing Project. She teaches the Summer Institute with me. She taught last summer, and we're fingers crossed going to make it to this summer. And I wanted to bring Carmela on because she is a writer that I really admire for her notebook work, because she employs all of her languages when she writes in her notebook. She uses all of her beautiful languages when she writes in her notebook. So, Carmela, would you talk a little bit about the languages you do use in your notebook when you're writing, and maybe why it's important for you to have both Spanish and English alive in your notebook? Could you talk about that?
Sure, I'd love to. So as a bilingual person, I think many people will be able to relate to the fact that you have both languages in your head at all times. And so even when you've been speaking primarily in one language, you still have in the back of your mind the other language that helps connect you to the world and to other cultures. And so sometimes I find myself when I'm writing in English that if there's something that is really exciting or something that I want to emphasize, I feel that sometimes the constraints of English punctuation doesn't always do what I want to say justice. So I kind of use Spanish punctuation because it's a little bit different and it's a little more exciting. I also find that sometimes Spanish words are better if I'm writing in English. They are I love the beauty of Spanish as a romance language, and I think that sometimes those words are more fitting. Also, sometimes, as bilingual people know, that sometimes when you're thinking in one language, the other one creeps up, and you can't think of the word in the other language, so you just have to switch, right? So that's happened to me in English and in Spanish many times. But I also think for me, there's something that I think about a lot is the underlying idea that because I am not just one language or one culture, I live in several at one time. And I think a lot of times I write in English and in Spanish because people who I've loved, my parents who were forbidden to speak Spanish in school, they weren't allowed to. And so I think sometimes to honor them, I write in both languages because I can, because it's powerful, because it is all of who I am, not just one part. So those are kind of some of the reasons that I live in two languages in my notebook.
That's so beautiful. That's super beautiful. Can you talk about like, does writing in more than one language, does it give you something that we haven't yet talked about as a writer? Does it give you uh, uh, a strength that we haven't yet talked about? Like, does it help you some way as a writer to have
I,
both?
for me, I feel most powerful. I feel most complete when I am able to write in both languages.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just think that it is it speaks to all of me, right? It speaks to both languages, it speaks to culture, it speaks to the people that have come before me and their struggles, and I'm able to honor them um, with the languages in which I write.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how would you encourage students who have more than one language, who have that beautiful abundance of many languages? How would you encourage them in their notebook to use all of them?
Well, first, I would say just write what's in your head and in your heart. Just write it down. Don't try to censor yourself. Don't try to be forced to stay in one language. Just write what's in your head. Um, and then I would say beyond that, I would say, think about the language choices that you make. Why did you make that choice? Is it because, and I just think that helps you understand better who you are. Was it because you were speaking to somebody who only spoke Spanish, so you had to write it in Spanish because it fits better in that language? Was it because you're writing about something that happened in an academic setting and it happened mostly in English and you can better describe it that way? Or are you writing about, like, even sometimes you write about things, a cultural experience that there aren't English words for, right?
Oh,
So you have to use those words. I mean, because if you think about, like, this is a really small example, like if you're writing about a birthday party, when I had birthday parties, we had piñatas, we had fajitas, we had all of those things. Those are the words you use in English, but they're Spanish words, right? So there's not an English equivalent to those things. That's just a really small example of how sometimes there's not an English word to describe those cultural experiences. And so, so I would just say, don't censor yourself, and then think about the beautiful ways and reasons why you chose that language. And don't be afraid. No one's
yeah,
stopping you. It's your
yeah.
notebook
It's your notebook. It's where you have total
where the
freedom.
magic happens.
Where the magic happens. Yeah, yeah, awesome. So it sounds like using all your abundance of beautiful language is really tied to who you are as a person. It's tied
Absolutely.
to you, your family, and your history and your culture, to honoring their legacies, to expressing exactly what you want to express, and using all the languages to show, to be precise with what you're trying to do, and capturing ideas and capturing memories and capturing stories, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My mom named me Carmela. She didn't name me Carmela. So I
Right.
can't, to
Right.
honor her, I say my name the way she named me. Just like if I am writing about something that happened in my life, I use the language in which it happened uh, to honor those that were in that space.
Oh, beautiful. So you mentioned your mom and your family, and before we started taping, you said that that's actually a strategy that you use sometimes
Mm-hmm.
to get started in your notebook. And so I'm trying to make each day offer as much help as possible, right? Using all your languages is a great strategy to get going in your notebook. Could you also share with us, though, that idea of how you bounce off of people in your life to get going? Could you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's a great strategy.
Oh,
What do
of
you do?
course. Right now in this time, I'm living with my mom, my sister, my two nephews. And so I think sometimes when I try to tackle the blank page, if I don't know what to write, there's always something that somebody who I love has done or said that that is important to me. I know the other day I didn't know what to write, and I'd gone on a walk with my nephew, and I just thought of him. And I thought of how when we were walking outside, it was cloudy, but he was so happy and saying hi to people across the street and hi to, just excited about everything. And the sun came out, and I was like, the sun came out to see his happy face. So I wrote about that because when I thought about him, it made me think of some of my experiences with him. And so it was easy to tackle the blank page because there's a lot of material. When I think of my mom, I think of like, sometimes how she gets kind of grouchy. And so I write about that. Or, if I think about my sister and, how she's this great mom and but also still my little sister who's kind of, drives me crazy. But if I just put those people in my mind, I just start writing about experiences or what comes into my brain, and it helps connect me to other things.
So great. So when you think of people, when you bounce off of people in your life, you feel full. You have
Mm,
lots and lots and lots that you can get onto the pages of your notebook. Would that be a good thing to
absolutely.
say?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Definitely. There's never ever, in this house with the people who live in it, there's never a shortage of things to write about or things to think about.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So you heard it, writers. You heard it from Carmela. Whenever you're looking at a blank page, if you're uncertain, the first thing that she's sharing with us, which is so important and beautiful, is use all your languages. Use everything you have to bring so much beauty to whatever you're trying to capture. And if you're stuck and you're looking at the blank page, a great strategy is to think of people in your life, bounce off of people, maybe even famous people. It could just be bouncing off of people in general to get going and to just get some thinking on paper. Did I say, is that right, Carmela?
That sounds great.
That sounds
Exactly
good.
right. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, Carmela. Did you write already today? Have you written
I
today?
did. I try to write in the morning.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to go to my notebook in a little while. I was working in the garden this morning, so I'm going to try to get to it before
Jealous.
dinner. Thank you. All right, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Carmela. Can we visit you again?
Absolutely. Anytime. I'm here.
Okay. All right. Okay, writers, off you go. Bounce off of people and use all your beautiful languages. Okay. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.